since everybody's going to say Pogačar, I'm going to say Mathieu van der Poel. He's Mr. Paris-Roubaix. I think he's the most skilled rider on cobbles by far. And especially Paris-Roubaix is the one race that against Van der Poel versus Pogačar, it's more the absolute power that primes compared to the power to weight.
Yes.
So I think Van der Poel will make it 4 in a row.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Move Plus. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are going through the past week in cycling action, mainly Tour of the Basque Country with Paul Seixas winning 3 stages, taking the GC lead into the final stage tomorrow. Tim Merlier winning his 3rd straight Scheldeprijs, and then previewing Sunday's Paris-Roubaix, going through who's going to win it, how it's going to play out, everything about that race. Johan, before we get into Roubaix, let's take a quick moment to reflect on some things that have been happening this week. We'll start with Basque Country, then we'll go to Scheldeprijs. So just what's going on at Basque Country? Paul Seixas looks unbelievable. I take back every bad thing I've ever said about the guy. I've never seen a 19-year-old do this. This is unbelievable. He's winning the GC by 2.5 minutes, having won 3 stages, dominating the opening time trial. He wins today again over Florian Lipowitz. Before we get into Seixas' dominance, you had a comment like today was it was a lesson in how not to win a bike race. Do you want to go through what you meant by that?
Yeah, I mean, today was it was the Queen stage, the hardest stage.
It was very hard. It was
typical. I mean, all the stages have been hard in the Basque Country, all of them. But today was, I mean, it might not have changed anything, right? But we saw the race breaking up quite early. Then there was a group of 10, 15 riders on the hardest climb of the day, the second last climb, which everybody knows. You know, they've been doing this climb a lot of times in the Basque Country. And Seixas basically starts as soon as he's out of teammates. He starts to set the tempo, and there's 4 riders initially. I think it's Seixas, Lipowitz, Roglic, and Uiterbroeks. First Roglic tries to make a move, doesn't go anywhere. Then Lipowitz goes. The other 2 are dropped, and then Seixas basically pulls all the way to the top. With Roglic behind. Then from the back, Javier Romo came out of nowhere. Impressive. Yeah. Catches up, passes Roglic, catches up with the 2 guys in front. The moment he catches up, he touches the wheel of Lipowitz, crashes, and never makes it back. But at that moment, it was Lipowitz and Seixas in front, and Roglic and Romo behind. I don't know if it's Lipowitz himself or if it's directions from the car. That would even be worse. I'm assuming it's Lipowitz himself. He just starts working with Seixas after the downhill when he knows that, first of all, he's not going to take 2 minutes on Seixas at that time.
Right? Riding away from him on the flat, going into the finish.
He should already know that, okay, if I can stay with him, this is going to be great. And let's try to win a stage here. Let's try to win a bike race, right? So you have your teammate behind working together with Romo. And then all of a sudden I see Lipowitz collaborating with Seixas. I said, how is this possible? Then the car came for a moment, then he stopped working, but then he started working again. And then to finish it off, he starts to sprint with like 700 meters to go, thinking on a false flat he's going to drop Paul Seixas. I mean, I've said this many times, Spencer, and everybody who has raced at whatever level knows that when you're away with one guy and you guys take turns, they know who's the strongest rider. And you know if you're going to be able to drop him or not. So it's clear that Lipowitz was not going to get it. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I said, how to not win a bike race. I mean, listen, there's a reason that Florian Lipowitz has not won many bike races. He's a very, very good GC rider. He's
very good
up there in all the big races. He's top 3, top 5. But he only won, I think, a stage in, was it Tour of Slovenia or
no? It's the Cebu Tour,
or whatever. Cebu Tour and the GC, I think, right?
Well, And okay, no, you're right. GC in the Cebu Tour, GC at the Czech Tour. The only non-GC he's ever won is stage 2 of the Czech Tour 2023.
Yeah. So, this guy needs to learn how to win races. It's not easy for him because he's not fast in the sprint. And it was, he was still not going to win against Paul Seixas unless he was collaborating full gas and they made a deal. But that's not done anymore, especially not with a young rider like Seixas. That's not going to happen. Or it must be a deal in the car between the two cars of Red Bull and Decathlon, but that's also not happening. So yeah, I don't know, man. I was surprised to see these tactics. It was a guarantee not to win the race for sure.
What's he being told? Like, what's coming from the car when this is happening?
You would think. I think it's Pachi Villa in the car. He's a Basque. He's experienced. He's seen many things. I don't know. It was first he was riding, then he was told to stop when the car came up, and then he started riding again. I don't know, man.
Are they just trying to secure second place because then now he's over a minute ahead of Juan Izagirre, who was in the group behind?
Well, they had second place already. They were already in second and third before the stage.
I guess now they have a buffer in case Izagirre attacks tomorrow.
Seixas would have pulled anyway.
I know that. Yeah. That's the only thing and that's the beauty of having a teammate in the chase group. You don't have to worry. Yeah.
Exactly. So, first they do everything they can to isolate Seixas. I don't know if that's actually better or worse for the guys who are on the limit, because once the strong guy, we always see this with Pogačar also. When Pogačar's dominant, they all say, okay, we need to isolate him.
Yeah.
And what happens when he isolates? He attacks and everybody's
well. Wait, that's it's a very good point. Isolate him. It's like, all right.
No, but let's isolate him so he doesn't attack.
Yes, because now you've given him no option and you've made the race hard by dropping his teammates, which then helps him attack you. What are you doing? I actually remember Pachi Villa. There was a Movistar documentary and they were like, hey, we've got to make the race hard before the final climb. And Pachi Villa's like, no, because that does not help us. That is hurting us more than it's hurting anybody else. I was like, that's actually a pretty good point. I thought it was a bit strange. Lipowitz looks very good. Paul Seixas looks very good.
Yeah.
Paul Seixas is going to win this race. I think he's 2.5 minutes up on Lipowitz, 3.5 on Roglic.
What's really surprising, Spencer, to me is, we've all seen he looks incredibly strong. In the time trial, that was clear already. That was like, okay, basically race over, right? If you're able to do that performance on that short climb, and then on top of that, winning in the way he won stage 1 or stage 2, it was clear that nobody was able to follow him uphill. But today they were able to follow him. Lipowitz followed him, right? He was able to stay with him. We don't know if Seixas went full gas or not, but that's irrelevant. He stayed with him. But also, what's really, really remarkable is, man, his confidence in his interviews. It's something for a 19-year-old. He sounds like a seasoned professional in his interviews also, and he is so confident. You would think, a 19-year-old, it all comes to him. It's a bit overwhelming. It's not overwhelming for him. That's where he expects to be. I could hear also in an interview 3 days ago, that they had gone to preview some stages. They knew where they knew that stage 1 they wanted to attack. They came into this race really, really believing and thinking that he would win, and they were right.
You know what blows my mind about him? He's so good in the time trial at 19. Mm-hmm. Like that's usually what comes along later. Like to come out and do that time trial, super impressive. So stage 2, the first road stage, he attacks and rides away. 25-minute climb, essentially. And I don't know if you watched this, Johan, he didn't get out of the saddle. He just rode away from everybody. So 25 minutes, I estimated his power at around 440 watts. So like 6.8, 6.9 watts per kilo.
6.7 watts per kilo.
But that's probably. What I don't like about those numbers is they assume everyone weighs 60. That when you see those numbers on Twitter, it's normalizing everyone's weight. But they do it so low that the watts per kilo are actually a little bit lower than they are if you're more than 60 kilos, which Seixas is.
Yeah.
And
How heavy is he? 65, 66?
60. He's listed at 64, so we could assume 64 or 65 probably.
Yeah, he's tall. Yeah,
he's tall.
Super tall.
He would be like one of the. Yeah. I think he'd be the tallest Tour winner since maybe.
Yeah,
Geraint
but he's
Thomas.
not won the Tour yet, Spencer.
Well,
he's not won the Tour yet.
Well, I'm penciling him for the Tour. I actually put a little bet on him to win the Tour after stage 2.
Who would be the tallest Tour winner
this year?
No. Who would be the tallest Tour winner ever?
Oh, ever? Wiggins has got to be up there. That guy in real life is so tall.
Yeah,
I would think
exactly.
Yeah. He might be the tallest.
He's taller than Indurain. He's
He's taller than George, who's very tall.
Froome is pretty tall too, you know.
Yeah. Probably. Is Paul Seixas taller than Froome? What do we think? Wiggins is no. Wiggins is shockingly tall.
Wiggins is tall. Yeah.
And Wiggins looks like he could play in the NBA right now. So Paul Seixas, 6.8 watts per kilo. In the comments, people are like, oh man, that stinks. Not even more than 7. To put this in perspective, 7, first of all, this is a 25-minute climb. They're like, well, at Van Aert, he was better. It's like, well, that's a 16-minute climb, and he did 7.2 watts per kilo. That's quite a bit longer. Over 20-minute climbs, you actually don't see that many of them in pro cycling because these guys go so fast. I'm looking at Pogačar, Oudacom last year at the Tour. Tour winning performance. That was 6.8 watts per kilo. So this is not some dud performance. And you got to remember, Paul Seixas is riding as hard as he needs to win this race. He's not riding to impress us with his power output. He did what he needed to get a lead.
Yeah.
He basically sealed the win on stage 2. Today, I think
by the way, he's not just good uphill. Did you see how he goes downhill?
He was flying downhill.
It's unbelievable. He's unbelievably good, an unbelievably good descender. So he has it. He can climb, he can downhill, he can time trial. He's not slow. He's pretty fast also. Man, the guy has it all. I think, in my opinion, Spencer, I don't know, maybe we're looking ahead a bit far, but at this moment, I see him, assuming he does the Tour, but he's going to do the Tour. There's no other way, I think, unless something unexpected happens. I see him up there with Vingegaard. This Seixas is the Vingegaard level, I think.
Yeah, and yes, I agree. Physically, absolutely. I think he's already slotted into that second level of everyone's below Pogačar, and then he's right there with Vingegaard. We should say Jonas Vingegaard is very good at racing, especially for 3 weeks. I'm looking at Jonas Vingegaard.
Yeah, 3 weeks is different. Yeah.
He's not finished lower than second in a Grand Tour since 2020. So Jonas Vingegaard's got that figured out. And but man, Paul, as you say, with this descending, he's just such a complete rider. I've never seen anything like this. He's a far more complete rider than Pogačar was at 19.
There's another thing today noteworthy, Spencer. My friend, commentator at Eurosport, Antonio Alix, made me aware of something very unique. So we at some point we had 4 riders in front. So we had Seixas, Lipowitz, Roglic, and Romo. So Seixas obviously is a phenomenon, right? He's a super talented rider. The other 3 riders come from different sports, other sports. Lipowitz comes from biathlon. Roglic was a ski jumper, and Romo was a triathlete until COVID. So and Roglic and Romo and Lipowitz actually came relatively late to professional cycling. There's all this hype about the 17, the 18, the 19-year-olds. All these guys came to cycling much later. So it shows that if you're a good athlete, there is a possibility.
Yeah, Romo, very good to call that out. That was a super impressive ride. Yeah, came late. On this young rider thing, we didn't mention it in the Paris-Roubaix show. Do you know who the youngest rider in the top 10 was at Roubaix? Sorry, not at Flanders. It's Remco Evenepoel. And the second youngest rider was Tadej Pogačar. Which is kind of a funny thing that these young riders, it's
Monument. different. It's a different animal. It's a different animal monument. It's 270K. It's different. Yeah. That's the question mark, of course, around Paul Seixas, right? How is he going to perform during 3 weeks? It's still, something that we need to see, something that he will need to discover. If he goes really good for 10 days and then falls apart, it could be a normal thing to be expected. But maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe he just goes the whole 3 weeks. We'll see.
I would say it's not likely, because I was trying to explain this to someone who was a young rider themselves at one point. His experience is nothing like our experience, because to him, frankly, when he's in the group, it's probably easy, right? Because he's so much better than everybody else. He's not on the limit when normal people would be on the limit. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if he's going to fall apart. Like Egan Bernal, not as talented, but kind of a similar situation where like he's too young to be at the Tour. And then you're just so much better than the average rider. You're not pressed to the same point as the average rider is. So it's easy. That's why the best riders win Grand Tours. But just a couple other notes from this. Isaac Del Toro crashes out. Who knows? Maybe he would have won. I'm getting some heat on Instagram about Isaac Del Toro not winning this, but he could have won. We don't know. But he crashed out with a torn. What was it? It was like a torn hip flexor. What was this injury? It was did not sound good. Did not look good.
Thigh somewhere, a torn muscle. It sounded. When you read the report, it doesn't look good. I think he's going to be fine for the Tour. But definitely, it's definitely a bummer for him and for the team, for the Basque Country. He was not going to challenge Pogačar at all. Counter performance in the time trial, and then not there in stage one, even got dropped from the second group at the end. So he was not at the top of his game, I think. Same with Juan Ayuso, who did a really bad time trial, did a few bad stages and had to abandon with stomach problems, I think. So they have to just go home and rest and recover and prepare for the next goal. These two guys.
Someone on the commentary pointed out Del Toro, like just Del Toro and Ayuso as two examples, very started the season super hot and then almost looked to be paying for it. But what's crazy is Ayuso beat Paul Seixas at Algarve, and then flash forward to Basque Country, they don't even look like they're in the same conversation. Like Seixas looks significantly better than he did earlier this year, which is that's a scary progression.
He looked really good in Van Ardèche. And he looked really good in Strade Bianche. And let's not forget that Ayuso had a pretty severe crash in Paris-Nice while he was in the lead. So we don't know what the consequences are. But at the same time, then I would think, okay, if he starts in País Vasco or it's Itzulia, we need to say Itzulia. We keep calling it the Tour of the Basque Country. But if he starts, I think it's because he thought that he would be performance. So who knows?
And who knows? Yeah, he did crash hard at Paris-Nice. That it looked. Is Itzulia mean Tour or Basque Country?
I don't know. I don't know what it means actually. Itzulia.
We'll just call it Itzulia. We will defer to the Basques on that.
I just keep calling it Vuelta País Vasco.
I remember some TV network asked me what should we list this as in the what's on TV right now, and it's like I don't know what to tell you. This is it changes every year. So before we get to Roubaix, Scheldeprijs was on Wednesday, midweek Cobbled Classic, kind of always ends in a sprint.
There's a few cobbles, but it's pretty flat. So it's the Sprint World Championships basically.
And it's not, that's not just, that gets thrown around a lot. This is truly, if you look at the past winners, it is almost always the top sprinter winning. Tim Merlier wins it for the third year in a row, beats Pavel Bittner. A pretty impressive result by Bittner. But if you look at the past winners of this, it's Merlier, Philipsen, Christoph, Philipsen, Caleb Ewan, Jakobsen, Kittel, Christoph, Kittel, Cavendish. So those are the world's best sprinters in the year that they've won. This is only Tim Merlier's second race of the year. He's had knee problems. He won this, Johan, and I could just hear you in my head being like, Tim Merlier is the best sprinter in the world. So this is
he is the purest sprinter in the world.
He is
pure sprinter. He's, he just never gets his timing wrong. It's crazy. I mean, he has this jump. I mean, when the other guy started sprinting, the sprint was over already.
Yes.
He just came from the back. He's so good at surfing wheels. There was nobody there for him. He was just finding his way. At some point, it looked like he was boxed in. For some reason, he always finds an opening. And then he's able to judge this distance. And just when he goes, it's game over. It's crazy. I mean, there was not even, it was Merlier. Nobody was second. And then the third guy was second, but there was nobody in second place because he was so far ahead.
Yeah. And he's just kind of had some weird luck in Grand Tours, and like even weird luck getting to Grand Tours. Like there was years where he wasn't even really racing a lot of them. Mm-hmm. I'm curious of it. I mean, he won 2 stages of the Tour last year. So if this guy shows up at the Tour, watch out. He could win a lot of stages.
Yeah.
He's flying.
Yeah. And now at the last moment, they also added him to Paris-Roubaix in Sulawesi. I mean, I don't think that's a race specifically for him, but obviously Paris-Roubaix is not going to be a bunch sprint. But anyway, he does Paris-Roubaix. He was surprised by his win. He said, I know that physically I'm not 100%. I was just, saw the finish. I said, okay, this is my distance. I'm going. He didn't understand how he won. He was extremely surprised.
Well, I know how he won because he went really fast, way faster than anybody else in that sprint. I mean, he's just very good at positioning, very good. If you want to learn how to sprint, just watch Tim Merlier. You're right. He's the best pure sprinter, the most pure sprinter in the sport. Let's take a quick ad break and then we'll talk about Paris-Roubaix. Talk about how Tim Merlier is going to do there in 1 minute. Okay, Johan, we're back. Paris-Roubaix this Sunday. We will have a show with hopefully Lance Armstrong and George Hincapie. I've not confirmed with both of them, but I trust they'll be here. It is a long race, 260.
George will be on the ground.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, George is on the ground.
George is there with his team. His team is invited, Modern Adventure. So that's big for them. And I guess we'll just have to wait until George arrives at his hotel. But I think we need to accommodate the schedule for George to be on. I mean, he's Mr. Paris-Roubaix on our team.
He is.
Nobody can talk better about Paris-Roubaix than him.
I think we did this last year where he had to go to Paris and we waited for him, and then he like hadn't eaten dinner and he was so hungry. Yeah. But 260K long race. You probably know Paris-Roubaix if you're listening to this episode, but if you don't, here's the cliff notes. Not too hilly, mini cobbles, very hard, bigger rider is good here. Power is key. Climbs are not as important, but you also have to be a great bike handler, and riding over the cobbles is incredibly unique. The favorites, I just pulled this from DraftKings just now. Here's the favorites in the betting market. Tadej Pogačar plus 175. So if you bet $175, you would win a profit of 100. Sorry, no, that's the opposite. If you bet $100, you would win a profit of 175. Mathieu van der Poel's the same, plus 175. Mads Pedersen plus 700. Wout van Aert plus 700. Jasper Philipsen plus 1200. Filippo Ganna plus 1200. Florian Vermeersch plus 1600. Christophe Laporte plus 3000. Johnny Vermeersch plus 8000. This used to be a harder race to predict, but it's gotten almost, it favors, I feel like, the favorites more than it used to. As an example of that, the last 3 winners are Mathieu van der Poel, Mathieu van der Poel, Mathieu van der Poel. So you tend to know it's between, a handful, 2 or 3 riders. A reason for this is the race is just getting harder and harder. It's like what we talked about last week at Flanders. Last year I went back and watched this race, Johan. The moves essentially were being set up at 170K out. By 100K to go, the top 3 out of the Arenberg Forest, which is a key cobbled sector in the peloton, were Mathieu van der Poel, Tadej Pogačar, and Mads Pedersen, which was the final podium. I expect the same thing to happen this year, but who do you think is going to win, and how is this going to play out?
Yeah, the easy thing would say, okay, Pogačar, but I think Paris-Roubaix is different, and that's taken out of the equation bad luck, because that can happen and it will happen. Yeah. And we don't know which of the favorites will be affected by that. Just remember last year when the decisive move was going with Pogačar and Van der Poel and Philipsen. Pedersen had a flat at the very same moment. But since everybody's going to say Pogačar, I'm going to say Mathieu van der Poel. He's Mr. Paris-Roubaix. I think he's the most skilled rider on cobbles by far. And especially Paris-Roubaix is the one race that against Van der Poel versus Pogačar, it's more the absolute power that primes compared to the power to weight.
Yes.
So I think Van der Poel will make it 4 in a row, which will be unique. He's not going to be the record holder. There's 2 riders who won it 4 times, Tom Bonen and Roger de Vlaming. That's the record. But I think Van der Poel will join them and win it 4 times in a row.
He'd be the fastest to 4. No one's ever won 4 in a row. I mean, I think you say he's the best rider on the cobbles in this race. I think he's the best rider on the cobbles of all time. I mean, to get 3 Flanders wins as fast as he did, and let's say he wins on Sunday, to get 4 Roubaix wins in 4 years, that's absurd against very good competition.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, Spencer, what we already see is that Pogačar to win, Pogačar needs a hard race. The best for that is that it's man against man and that the race explodes early. I would say, although after a hard race of 260K, you never know, because if it's a 2-man up sprint, you never know. You can't say if it's Pogačar or Van der Poel is going to win. Logically, it should be Van der Poel, especially because Pogačar needs to try and drop Mathieu van der Poel. But what if he doesn't? And he just saves a bit and they ride together, and Van der Poel is always going to ride with Pogačar, especially on the flats. And then it's a two-man sprint. But I still think, and also another thing, Spencer, for it, I mean, and I think it's actually, you can take it both ways, but for Pogačar to be a hard race, it needs to be a fast race, and it will be a slow race and a long race because they predict cross headwind the whole day.
Interesting.
It's going to be dry, good weather, 15 degrees, dusty, and cross headwind. So, obviously, when you're sitting on the wheel, it's easier when it's kind of in generally headwind than when it's tailwind, because then they go a lot faster. People may think, okay, it's tailwind, it's easier. It's not. If it's tailwind, you get dropped easier on the cobbles than if it's headwind. Because they go so much faster.
Yeah, tailwind favors the attacking rider, especially tail cross. So here's my thoughts on this. I tend to think you're right. It's actually a hard assignment here for Pogačar because, as you said, what power is more important than watts per kilo, than like weight averaged power. How does Pogačar drop Mathieu van der Poel? That's not going to be so easy. I mean, frankly, how does he drop Mads Pedersen? How's he drop Wout van Aert? How's he drop Filippo Ganna? Like, that's not going to be easy to drop any of these guys. I think the days of Jasper Philipsen finishing second are over because the increased pace has just stretched the race out. As we saw last year, it was a little too hard for Philipsen, even though he made that initial selection with them. Mm. But to drop these guys is going to be so difficult for Pogačar. I tend to think if he wins, he's going to have to win by either, remember the year, it was 2023 where Van der Poel was with Van Aert and Van Aert flatted. Like that's why you work with someone at Roubaix, right? Because something could happen.
Listen, don't go further than last year, Spencer. Pogačar crashed, but was pursuing Van der Poel, but then Van der Poel had a flat while he was alone in the front. So,
I actually forgot about that until yesterday. I was like, I didn't remember Van der Poel flatting. But remember 2016 where Matt Heyman goes to the line with Tom Boonen and wins the sprint. So there is always something to be said at Roubaix to just go to the finish and see if you can win the sprint. It happens. Weird stuff happens on that velodrome. I'm going to pick Pogačar because I need him to win all 5 monuments because that's what I picked. The thing about this, though, is Pogačar. I went back and calculated if you, like, let's say the last year's worth of major one-day races. You know, we always say like, oh, wow, the odds aren't very good. If you had just bet, like if you bet $1 million on Pogačar every time, your return would be like the best hedge fund in the world. Like, it doesn't seem that hard in retrospect. You're like, oh, someone should have done this. So it seems silly to bet against Pogačar. If he wins, he will have won 5 contiguous monuments, basically like a calendar sweep.
Yeah.
And I think it sets him up to win all 5 in the year. And then the last 7 consecutive monuments, I believe, if he wins all the way to Lombardia, that would be impressive. But I'm acknowledging, I think it could be hard to beat Van der Poel here. This is like Van der Poel's Super Bowl as well. Like his whole season is built around this. If Van der Poel doesn't win, who do you think could win out of the group behind, or like that cluster behind?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Wout van Aert is in good shape. Pedersen is going to be, I think, better than in Flanders. He was already at a good level there, but he's getting better by the day. And then Filippo Ganna. Filippo Ganna set out Flanders on purpose to be top in Paris-Roubaix. He showed that he was in great shape in Waregem, Dwars door Vlaanderen. And I think he's somebody that they have to have in mind, that you can't give Filippo Ganna like on one of those sneaky, trying to get away attacks. Once he gets 10, 15 meters, go get him,
Yeah, especially
I think it's Pogačar, Van der Poel, Ganna, Pedersen, and Wout van Aert. Those 5. You can say Philipsen, you can say Jasper Stuyven was up there, Florian Vermeers. There's other riders, but a lot would need to happen with one of those 5 riders for an underdog to win.
Yeah, I would say that a lot would need to happen. The thing about Roubaix too is it's space constraint. So let's say we mentioned 7 top favorites. There's just like not physically that much more space for someone else to be there, because you can't be sitting 20 wheels back going into these cobble sectors. You're going to get dropped. So not many people are going to make that front group. I do think if Pogačar and Van der Poel look at each other, you could have Pedersen, Van Aert, Ganna. I like those guys to maybe right away. These are not, you would not say they're wild cards, but in modern cycling, they might be. The thing about Ganna is, okay, so he skipped Flanders to prepare. Kind of makes sense, right? You hear that, you're like, all right, I get it. Almost never happens. Do you know the last rider to win Roubaix without racing Flanders?
Well, was it Mathieu Heyman?
Mathieu Heyman, only because he had a broken wrist. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, you should never do things because history tells you to do things. Like, you should use data and come to your own conclusion. But that does make me just makes me think twice about if that was a good decision. The difference
also, Spencer, with Paris-Roubaix compared to all the other races we've seen, if it's, Pogačar attacking, getting away. In Paris-Roubaix, it is easier to organize a group behind the guy who's escaped than in any other race we've seen, especially a lot easier than in Flanders, because it's flat in between the sectors. And, let's say envision a scenario where, on the hardest part, for the hardest sector is the Arenberg forest, right? So let's say Pogačar gets away there. Van der Poel and Ganna and Pedersen and Van Aert get together. They're catching him. He's not staying away.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'd forgotten too that Pogačar attacked with like 70K to go last year and then started to whittle it down. But you bring up a good point so I'm just going back to 2024. Van der Poel attacked from 60K out and won by 3 minutes.
When he was world champion, right?
When he was world champion. Why was the chase? What happened there? Was he just that much faster on the cobbles?
Did you see that attack? I mean, that attack was like a different race. It was crazy when he attacked. I remember Johnny Vermeers was pulling and he was like surprised. All of a sudden he saw a white thing pass in the rainbow stripes. And he was like going double speed. But again, then check behind. You always need to see who is there. Like if we're talking about these 5 riders here, if it's Pogačar by himself against Van der Poel, Ganna, Pedersen, and Van Aert, he's not going to stay away. The thing is that normally when Pogačar attacks, it's a race of attrition. Everybody's slowly getting drained, and then Pogačar goes, and there's not much left to chase. behind, right? I mean, no matter how you want to collaborate, they're all dead already when he goes.
Yeah. You are right, though. This is the race that it would happen. And now that I'm looking at it, Van der Poel's first 2 solo wins, he's won it solo 3 times, which is kind of unusual. His first 2 solo wins, Philipsen was an anchor in the chase group. Mm-hmm. So who in their right mind is going to chase with Philipsen sitting there? Like nobody, because you're going to lose that sprint. So yeah, you are right that it could come back together. I tend to think this is going to be strung out. Like from the moment most people turn on the TV, the race is essentially going to be almost over, like at Flanders. But I do think this is going to be I think this is the trickiest one for him to win. I think if he wins this, he can win though.
He can win. Last year Spencer, last year we said, you know what? No way. It's his first time. Man, he was second, and without the crash, he would have sprinted for the victory. So, you know, if we take into account that Pogačar of this year is better than last year's Pogačar, he has the experience. His team fully believes in him. I mean, the fact that he's equal favorite with Van der Poel says it all. You know, he can win it. You know, he can definitely win it.
I mean, he left his team camp to go preview this in December, so he's definitely taking it seriously.
There's an ex-winner, a multiple winner of Paris-Roubaix, 3-time winner, Johan Mathieu, who sent me a message today, and he's convinced Pogačar is going to win.
There you go. So, and I'm sure the Belgian media is talking about this. If Remco was starting, how much would he win by? A couple minutes, probably.
The fact that he didn't even consider going says it all. Listen, Paris-Roubaix is a different animal, Spencer. It's completely different to any other. I mean, we tended to think that Flanders and Roubaix were different. You know, these guys have gotten so good now, and they're so skilled on their bikes that Flanders is becoming a race of the strongest guys are there, no matter how much experience you have. But Paris-Roubaix is different. It's. I mean, you have to see it in real life to believe the state of those sectors and how is it possible that they can go over there with these road race bikes. It's crazy.
Well, before Pogačar last year, we didn't even think it was possible for a modern GC rider to just roll up and do well. So it is different. I would second that. It's not the same. Well, Johan, anything else before we take off?
No, I think that's it. I'm excited to watch it on Sunday. I think on Eurosport they show it from start to finish. No, I think
they definitely show it from start to finish. Yeah. It's on Peacock in the US, which we'll have it start to finish as well. It starts early. Like if you're East Coast, probably 4 a.m. is when it's going to roll off. I mean, what is locally? Is it they start at like 10:30, 11 a.m. right?
10:30, I think.
10:30.
10:30. I mean, it's 260K, so it's going to be 5.5 hours at least. I think maybe 11. I don't know. Maybe it could be 11. Finished by 5.
Yeah. One thing you don't realize when you're not in Europe and then you go to Europe is it gives you a sense of scale of these races, because you're like 10:30 a.m. to dinner time is how long the race is happening. You're like, wow, this is a really, some of these tour stages could start at 1:30 and they're over by 4:30, 5 p.m. But these monuments are significantly longer. You don't really appreciate that until you're sitting through the entire thing, start to finish.
Okay, Spencer.
All right. Talk to you later, Johan. Talk to you
See
Sunday.
You on Sunday.
Yeah.
Bye. Okay, bye.